Yo, Crypto Nation and mining family, what's going on, guys? I'm Nemesis, and of course I got my home doge here, Crypto Mikkel, and we have a very, very special guest today. Oh God, a girl, Kristy-Leigh. What's going on?
Not much. It is the weekend, and I am enjoying getting to take a break to chat with you guys.
Nice. We gave you an excuse to not do something.
Yeah. Take a step away from work. Good.
That's always good. It's always good to step away and get a chat with like-minded people just about random stuff that's kind of going on and have no really bearing on what we really care or feel about.
Speaking of what's going on, holy hell, like, the last 3 months have been very exciting, I have to say.
It's been a party.
Oh my God.
It's like a party. You know,
it's like crypto.
Like fights and all.
Yeah. Crypto's up. Everybody's fighting. People are fighting each other. Scammers are plentiful.
It's the 2018 boom all over again.
Oh yeah. And unfortunately, even I succumbed to one of the scammers. Trying to buy GPUs and got scammed out of 3 Bitcoin. Oh yeah. It hurts now that the price is up, and I'm like, I spent it when it was at 20 grand.
I think about it every time. Every time the price jumps real high, I'm like, I hurt for him. Like I cry just a little bit for you. I cry just one tear. Like
it hurts every time I look at it. I'm like, man, I could have used that Bitcoin to buy my mining facility that me and Mikkel are trying to build. It's like, damn it. That was the down payment for the land.
So when we were moving into our new place, part of that was we had like a stack of 1,500 plus GPUs sitting in our basement. And throughout the course of 2020, we started eBaying them one after the other, because I'm not sure if anyone's actually tried to move like 1,000 plus GPUs at it through like just a moving company. It's a nightmare. Do not recommend. Selling them out throughout the year, and now I'm kicking myself for not just holding onto them and selling them now at these insane prices.
Right.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I did the same thing in 2020. I sold. I had a bunch of old 4 gigabyte cards, and I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and phase them out now. And I could have just kept them, and I would have been fantastic. I would have been set. It would have been great. I would have had a couple extra rigs.
People were telling me, "Oh, you got 1070 and 1070 Ti's. Oh, just get rid of them. They're old. You want the 3000 series?" And I'm like, "No, not until I can get my hands on a whole bunch of them and rotate the stock out." Thank God I never sold them.
The only cards we kept is so I have like some collector's items. So I have like the engineering samples for the first P104s, P106s, P102s. So kept all those. I have this really cool GTX 1080 Ti, but it's a dual, so it's 2 1080 Ti ASICs on one board.
Oh yeah!
Which is pretty cool.
Man, those things are so cool.
So you can have like 16 cards with just 8 slots. Have one of the first CMPs. So
What's your thoughts on the new CMP?
I'm really glad. So two parts of this. Let's break down like the drivers versus the CMP.
Already,
right?
Because the CMP has been long overdue. So like a few people, it was already leaked when the minority stuff got leaked. But we had CMPs. A few other people have had CMPs. So there are a few folks in the industry that have had the CMP silicon, and all it really is silicon that does not meet the standards for any of the other product lines NVIDIA has.
I've been saying that for months on that.
And they're not special in any way. It's just different product binning. So for people who aren't aware of how this works, for NVIDIA specifically, they have a few GPU designs, and then they get binned into different product lines based upon the performance and the quality that comes out. Tons of companies do this. The one most people are familiar with is DDR3 and DDR4 RAM, now DDR5. The speeds, it's all the same technology, the same chip. It's just the speeds are different based upon the binning.
Right.
So you could buy CMPs before on eBay. They get leaked from China all the time. It's really good that NVIDIA has turned it into a legitimate product line. What has to happen is those need to be accessible to everyone. Because right now, how you buy a CMP from their announcement is you reach out to Asus, MSI, I forget the other company.
Zotac.
Zotac, yep.
Yeah. So you have to reach out to like one of the manufacturers, and for most miners who are only buying 10 GPUs here and there, that's not achievable. So those cards have to come through a channel that is not related in any way to brokers. Otherwise, they don't stand a chance.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought it was it was a real shitty article because they're not obtainable by a normal miner, and you release it to public just to try to calm the storm, but it's not calming a storm because I can't get them either. I'm a normal miner. I don't have a gigantic farm, so they're not going to say, oh yeah, here you go. So just of natural, and that's kind of the way it goes. I'm not mad about it, but it's just the article. You're like, that's not something that you should have posted publicly. It didn't help you. It's gonna shoot you in the foot if you don't allow them to be accessible for everybody.
Right, and because unless you've got that's 20 grand just laying around in cash, because they're not going to take crypto. They're not taking crypto.
So the AICs actually might take crypto, but I think what might be helpful is, if we reach out to the AICs and ask them, what would be really cool is if they did a web-based store where people could purchase this.
Right.
The problem is, logistically, getting those cards, shipping out one or two to individuals, it's a lot of burden with very little profit. And, what really sucks out of all of this is, I think partly the reason NVIDIA made that decision is because they don't have enough, or maybe they have more data than I have, which is they assume that most miners are these big companies, these big industrial farms that are making a business out of mining Ethereum. And I used to think that too when I was working, at Genesis in 2016, until you start attending these conferences and you see how many individuals there are mining crypto, and they're not, forking out 100,000 here or there. They're buying their GPUs slowly in batches of 2 or 3 or 10 at a time and growing. Yep. And there's not enough data points for how many individual miners there are out there for them to make a good decision. So they're catering to a bulk of their sales, which that data they're getting from their AICs, which is, oh yeah, there's these big mining farms that are ordering 100,000 or 1,000 units here or there. Yeah, it's there's a lot of issues with that. Now let's talk about the drivers, because I think
I'm still buying a 3060 regardless of what they say.
Yeah, so
at least one.
Yeah, so when that news came out, so I'm in two minds about this. One, I recognize it's an incredibly shitty thing to do. But I also recognize we're in unprecedented times where this silicon shortage is hitting everyone hard. And there are people, I even have employees that are trying to get set up to build a rig, and you can't get a GPU right now. And so this is, NVIDIA's way of trying to serve everyone in the market, but it's still a really shitty thing to do.
Yeah, because they're taking the Apple approach on it.
Yeah, it's really shitty now.
And just for ETH too, from what I've seen, Leo has posted a bunch of videos, and he's continuing to post videos too. NVIDIA told him to stop posting, and he said, "No, I didn't sign a contract." And I said, "Man, you stick it to him, Leo." he said, "I paid 3x. He paid it was 800 or 900 USD for that card, just because he wanted it and he had the opportunity to get one before anybody else, and he took it." And
so it is no Ethereum only.
Yeah,
can confirm that. But very specifically, so they made a statement about that. I'm not sure if you guys caught the statement. It was in the Verge's article on this. Yeah. And NVIDIA's statement was, by market cap, Ethereum is the largest. That's where a majority of these cards are going. And so it's hard for other proof of work networks to just immediately absorb that hash rate. So they targeted that first. And part of it is to kind of curtail that. So, I'm in two minds about this. It was really good they didn't do it for the other cards, because imagine the shitstorm that would have caused.
Well, they're talking about relaunching all the other SKUs under new product labels, and they're going to have.
There was a whole article. They were end of lifing the 3070, 3060 Ti, 3080, and the 3090, just the SKUs. And they're just going to re-SKU the cards. So when you see the SKU numbers change, people watch that. I mean, I'm usually aware of that. So when the SKU number change, you know that it's been put in. Like they've said they were going to do it. I don't put it past them. If they actually do it for the 3060 Ti, well, they have. But, if they're going to go full force and not remove it, then they'll rewrite it all, and I eventually think that'll go the way.
What happens in that scenario is AMD wins out. AMD is not going to call drivers. AMD is just going to come out in full support, as they should of Ethereum, and that's going to cause them to double down on sales. No one's the bigger industrial miners will buy the CMPs, and that's okay. Those same industrial miners, have their own channels for getting stuff. Let's address the technique they use, because I'm sure everyone has been pinging me, asking me about the technique. So no hack drivers won't get out of this. So that's the first thing to clarify. Hack drivers will not solve, you won't be able to get a hack driver that fixes it. What it's actually doing is detecting some of the access patterns in the DAG as it's loaded in memory. We know from what NVIDIA representatives have said publicly that it's a secure handshake between the silicon, the firmware, and the drivers. Mm-hmm. And so in order to accept this, you're going to have to get a key that's signed by NVIDIA. You have to have a modification in the firmware. This is probably just a bit, like 0 or 1, toggle that on or off for detection. You're going to have to figure out how to get your signed key to be able to tell Falcon, or I don't know if they changed the name of Falcon after the 1080 Ti, but the RISC-V chip, that's the secure execution environment inside of the card.
Yeah, I'm not
You're going to have to be able to intercept that, and you're going to have your own driver, and NVIDIA's, like any big company, will rotate their keys, hopefully every 7 days, as is good policy. So, you only have a 7-day window. I have no doubt that what people will do to think about circumventing this is, maybe this will push towards FPGAs naturally in a big way, because Ethereum won't have that restriction on FPGAs. Would be good for Squirrel. I know I haven't said that name in a while.
Oh God, and Squirrel,
but, maybe good for Squirrel.
Having major issues.
Yeah. God. Those poor Nim.
Yeah, I ordered up their new Jungle Cat with the Intel chip on there. Yeah, it doesn't look like I'm gonna get it now.
Yeah, there's been a few failed product launches there. And I'm always very hesitant to talk about Squirrel because of the backlash that I got last time. And but I do think that FPGAs had their chance to come out in a big way in 2019, and there were a lot of market forces that worked against them. I don't know if they'll make a comeback, because the problem right now in hardware choice, we're all bottlenecked by silicon. There's not enough silicon right now. That's it. It doesn't matter what you're going to. And quite frankly, I think the ETH ASICs that are coming out are more viable for an investor than some of the InnoSilicon ASICs. I think those are a better buy if they were available. If we weren't fucked up by this silicon shortage. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the driver won't be easily circumvented. That being said,
yeah, that one just doesn't really get me though, because there's a few coins that Leo mined that are very similar to ETH.
They've got a different access pattern for catch-up.
Right.
Wow.
So that's kind of what I was going to go to the point of, how exactly are they going to let you mine other coins that are very similar to ETH hash, but not nerf them, but still just nerf ETH hash? So it's like, you would think that there's a way to fool it because nothing else is going to be affected. But then you're like, they talk about how in depth they go into it, and you're like, I don't think you're going to get around it. But then why are we going to leave everything else on the table? Like,
well, they've left
everything
else on the table because it doesn't absorb a majority of the GPU supply. That's where it's all going into Ethereum. And part of it is we don't see, I think as average miners, we don't see, I've had people reach out to me, even though I've kind of phased myself out of the mining space a little bit. I've had people reach out to me saying, if you can get your hands on like 6,000 cards, we'll take them. And I'll pay 3x, 4x the cost. And, it's something you can't avoid in mining, which is people just absorbing all the hardware. You can't avoid that in any industry, right? And I've also had people pitch me their business model of buying up like all the ASICs or all the GPUs for any coin and then flipping it back to individuals for a massive profit. You can't really stop that. It happens. It's capitalism. It's shitty, yeah, but I think what will end up happening is, I already said I'm going to do an academic poke of the 3060. I promised myself I wouldn't revisit F-largement, but I'm kind of tempted to now, just because the engineer in me is...
Do it.
He wants to poke around.
You got to call these V3, for 3000 series. It makes sense.
If Ethereum ever changes their proof of work algorithm, I do think that I think NVIDIA would just adapt the driver to follow suit, because we'll see. We can only speculate, right? It could just be once the silicon shortage is completely over, there's no issue anymore. That's right. Literally the reason they said they put this in place. So once that's gone, which hopefully it fixes itself in Q3 or Q4 of this year.
I have another the first thing that it thought into my head whenever I was hearing that they're going to nerf it. It's like, okay, so they're going after Ethereum. Okay, I understand. But what about somebody who's on a budget trying to make an AI, having an AI build, something that can do some of the AI intelligence, coding, and running some of the software? Are they going to hit, that same bottleneck depending on how they run their own personal algorithm?
Yeah, no, they're not, because it's not looking at memory timings. Like, it's not looking to see whether your T4 is, at a specific value of 32. It's looking to see, are you loading elements of the DAG into your cage? So I tell you what, I truly believe, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, this is not investment advice, this is no buying advice. I think this is the perfect use case for a little FPGA to exist that you can stream the DAG to, which is exactly what the Acorn was going to do. That's not investment advice for anyone.
So you're saying have a hardware
that...
Yeah.
You literally have the DAG never touch the GPU card.
Yep. That's what it was meant to do. That was the original purpose of the Acorn, was to build the DAG.
So not to hold the whole DAG, it was going to hold some elements of the DAG and mostly process the background, because that's faster on an FPGA than a GPU. So what you could do is almost have a specific FPGA device with some more memory that builds the DAG items on the fly and just streams the results back to the GPU. Or you could even, we might see some really innovative miners that are a little bit slower, but either obfuscate the elements of the DAG, which is going to be hard to do in memory because it's old. Yeah, that wouldn't work. I'm actually thinking about how to solve this problem as I'm talking about it. But yeah, I do think that it's a fun game of cat and mouse, I have to say. I'm sure someone at NVIDIA is going to get very angry at me for saying this, but I enjoy this kind of stuff.
It's okay. I'm sure they won't watch us.
Okay, so you'd be surprised at how many people I have talked to that are hidden crypto fans that watch everything.
Oh wow.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we have a few folks tuning in and watching. Especially if you tag these companies. Their social media team watches.
Oh yeah, I intentionally usually tag them, and it's surprising sometimes when you act. Not really surprising, but it's like makes you feel good when they respond, and you're like nice hash. Whenever Bert Coin forked, Cannon was talking to me, and he goes, "Oh, like I would really love to see. I would hope that nice hash wouldn't support the Vert hash fork." And I just tagged them, and I was like, "Yo, nice hash, what are you gonna do about this? Are you gonna support the fork?" And they were like, "No, we won't." And I was like, "All right, I wasn't expecting an answer, but there we go. Everybody got the answer we wanted."
Right.
And I was like, "Okay, cool."
And Triple M has a question. He was like, "How can I recode the ASIC miner chips to make it faster and better?" You're not going to be recoding the ASIC chip itself.
Nope.
You're basically going to be unlocking some of the firmware on the mining software that's on there that will allow you to change the frequency. It's about as far as I know you can do with an ASIC.
What is these people with trying to push for EIP 969, by the way?
I don't know.
Because actually, someone reached out to me about that and said, "What do you think about EIP 969?" And I was like, "You mean making ASICs better in every way possible?"
Right, making the perfect ASIC.
Like EIP 969 has so many issues with it that I've publicly talked about. It was the reason why we came out and like that, plus a few other EIPs that tried to redo proof of work algorithms. That's why we got so frustrated, Def Else and myself, about how many people sucked at designing proof of work algorithms, that we came out about Prog Power. Like, look, here's an actual good design. Please stop listening to these people who have never designed hardware before.
And I like how Raven adopted that.
It's doing fantastic for Raven. And, you know, everything, it's really good because everything that I have to admit, and it's a moment of vulnerability here, I got really frustrated and burnt out dealing with, you know, an entire year's worth of shit for ProgPal. Like the crap that I got.
Oh God, yeah. Because like everybody was accusing you of, oh, you're an NVIDIA fanboy. You're making it to where AMD is no good anymore. What's wrong? I mean, I've seen some of those comments actually.
Yeah, it went further to people reaching out, harassing my employer, impacting you know my work life, impacting me. I had people reach out to my partner at the time. I had people reaching out to friends. I had people accusing me of, you know, colluding with NVIDIA. Bob Somerville paid for the Ethereum, like the big article.
Yeah. I've seen some of that. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God.
I saw the article and I was like,
I had friends from you know,
I disregarded it,
reaching out to me saying, "Who is this Bob Somerville guy? Is he okay?" And it's like, in Bob's mind, just as an example, he couldn't comprehend that, you know, someone can have a job outside of crypto but still be involved in crypto and not have those two interfere with each other. And I got burnt out. I got so burnt out of it with it. I got sick of being accused of everything under the sun. And, you know, kudos to Tron and Blonde Frogs for just ignoring the shit, adopting ProgPow. It's done good for their community.
Yes.
They're in a really good place as a mining community right now. Mm-hmm. And it's been lovely to see miners flock to Raven naturally, just supporting that coin. And, you know, everyone can participate, and yeah, it's being good. Yeah, EIP 969 is not a compromise max voltage to EIP 1559. I hope no miner is thinking about that. EIP 969 is created by David Stanfill of SQRL, just so everyone's aware. That has nothing to do with helping miners.
It was to help the FPGAs and the ASICs.
Yeah. So it's not helpful. It has a really simple ASIC you can build. It doesn't brick any of the newer generation ASICs. One thing to note with InnoSilicon's design is actually a really elegant mini GPU. So a lot of their techniques they've learned around their memory and their PHY, it comes from their GPU experience. So
yeah, it's like, and I've been telling people for the longest time, like the ASICs that are for Ethereum, they're just SoC chips with memory modules loaded up around there. They're simulating a GPU playground.
Yeah, I mean, Max, you said there was a poll. Yeah, you said it was because there was a poll about that, and
where
that was the top. It was on Twitter, and it was the top compromise for 1559 was running the 696, and
when and where, I guess, like who. The important thing to understand is like where was it posted, and because if Ethereum cat herders posted it, like, or if say
cat herders.
Yeah, the cat herders.
Oh man, I haven't heard the term in a while.
Or Sparkpool posted it, then it's important. If anyone else posted it, not too important.
I think it was Sparkpool.
Was it Sparkpool? Well,
I think it was.
Because
I'm sure he'll chime in and tell me. Yeah, and I don't want to miss John Germain. I've seen that man. He has an F1 Mini. I have an F1 Mini from Black Miner, and he's been mining DigiBuy with it for a while, and they've stopped releasing bitstreams for it. It's been a couple months now since the old one, since the epoch was rolled, and nothing. It's been silence.
Wow.
Well, Hash altcoins also having issues on the backside from what I've been hearing. Like they're pretty much they're done.
I've heard rumors of such things.
Yeah,
but
not official.
Rumors are rumors in crypto until it actually happens.
But I haven't seen Black Miner Lily like making any real public statements at all. She's gone completely dark.
I haven't seen her post in like 4 or 5 months.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you stop seeing the, hey, we're shutting down for a little bit, we're having a movie. You stop seeing those. Those stop happening this frequently. They're not happening as much anymore. They're not. If they are, they're not boasting about it. It's just been awkward. I've noticed the same thing too, John Germain. I've been looking and like, because I've had people ask me, like, I'm trying to find, like, I got an F1 for really cheap, and I'm trying to find some new bitstreams. I was like, I doubt you'll find anything new.
Yeah.
But you will find what is out there. So.
Man, I keep seeing.
Max, he sent me the video, or not the video, the post. It was on Reddit. It was a Reddit post by Late Spoon.
Man, where did this, actually, I'm just seeing this now, this Stop EIP 1559 coming out of nowhere. Like, where did that come from?
Nobody, like, EIP 1559 doesn't solve anything.
It doesn't stop it. They burn fees and kind of like
the user
the miners, but it doesn't stop the gas fee. The gas fee is still going to be a variable fee, and it'll still go up and down. They're
wanting to burn it.
It doesn't solve what they're saying it does.
They're wanting to burn it on a coin that doesn't have a market cap to try to make the price of it.
There you go, Max. I posted it for you, buddy.
But
that's the one.
Why are people supporting EIP 969, knowing full well it doesn't stop ASICs at all? Like, what's people's problem with 969 versus ProPow? Because it's going to come down to the same thing.
Yeah, and I'd rather see a implementation of ProPow.
Heard that.
Like, yeah, EIP 969 was literally faulty in a lot of ways. I do hope Mollydev and some other folks speak out. But
Max was saying Stop EIP 1559 was started by Flexpool.
Yeah.
Oh, good to know. Helpful. He said reason OdaCrypt has stopped as there's ASICs on it, and that's from what Wind has told me.
Oh,
that would make sense.
A lot of things about
it makes if there was a bunch of ASICs, it makes sense. But I mean, OdaCrypt is a multi-algorithm.
Yeah. So the
coin, so that doesn't like stop.
There's no ASICs. I know where Wind's getting his information from. So there's this absolutely brilliant researcher here locally, actually, who's managed to track down a bunch of hidden, what we would call ASICs, but they're literally just FPGA miners that come from Ivy Link. And so, Wind runs off and says, oh, there's ASICs on the network. The underlying hardware is an ASIC. It's programmable. It gets categorized as an FPGA.
Right.
Just because they're in a box does not mean they're ASICs, goodness gracious.
Thank you.
If that's so, then an F1 and an F2 is an ASIC. But right. They're not.
Yeah. So there's actually a fleet, and this is all credit to the. I don't know if he wants to stay anonymous. A few people who are listening into your channel, I know of him. He's quite frequent, but he's an anonymous researcher, or pseudo-anonymous researcher who, he's been tracking these devices and has actually discovered quite a lot of them terrorizing altcoins. So they're the same ones mining OdaCrypt. It all comes from the same miner. They're just going around from coin to coin. And it's, I really don't understand why, yeah.
I mean, me and Mikkel have, with our our BCU 1525s, we've gotten on the algorithms where the Whitefire's like, I only want so many of these on the network. We're not trying to kill the coin off in one shot.
Everybody loves a good DNA lock.
Yeah.
Some people really hate it, but I'm all for it.
Right.
It's a good way to stop people from abusing.
People know EIP 969 doesn't actually get rid of ASICs. It doesn't break any of these ASICs.
Well, it's going to encourage them.
People know that. I'm not going to go be a champion anymore for this. I'm so burnt out. I'm sorry, miners. I went through a lot of shit last time. EIP 969 does not remove ASICs at all. No. So whoever the late spoon guy is championing that, you need to go and actually chat with someone who is a silicon engineer for a living, and go message someone from a proper company, not someone who's working in crypto. Stop relying on crypto people to give you information on hardware. We saw this happen before with the ProgPow debacle. We saw what happened when everyone was trusting Whimsy with all of the FUD around ProgPow. Just stop. It's not hard to go and validate some of these claims that people make. It really isn't. So, yeah.
Yes, Max. BBT has a stream tomorrow morning. Yeah, we'll be streaming it here on, I'm assuming you're on DCA. I'll see how that gets to go. I got invited to the call. So he said we'll be able to stream it, so if I'm allowed to stream it, then I'm going to stream it.
Yep. And I'll do it on my channel, Crypto and Hot Rods, too. That's where we get it out.
So that's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish maybe he can. He's the miners champion.
Oh, you know it. And as soon as the EIP 1559 came out, you could tell it just pressed one big old button on him. And he was like, "This is garbage. It doesn't solve anything. You're changing the rules partway through the game."
It does help. It helps some aspects, but not for what they boast it as. Yeah, they boast it as something completely different.
I think the core devs are smart enough to actually realize one of the big vulnerabilities in @hash v2, which is what EIP 969 was calling itself. The FNB prime is just going to massively accelerate an ASIC. It doesn't break them, and it's a simplistic change that could be actually adapted in the A11s. I'm very familiar with them and my controller, so I'm hoping that people, because there's some really smart people on the core dev side that understand hardware, including the guy that's one of the lead devs of TurboGeth. So I'm hoping one of them. Like, we'll call that out, but yeah, I'm not going to go do that again. But yeah, no, you know, ProgPal is working out for a lot of coins really well. Part of the design criteria that we had was making sure that it was, you know, a proof of work algorithm that could be adaptable, so you could make your own variant or flavor to keep sufficient distribution and decentralization. So if anyone did build, you know, a very specialized GPU, you know, it would have to really mimic a GPU to mine all the other coins. So
yeah,
it's
it'd be really good for like some forest kitten territory, you know, in my opinion, because they do pretty well at mimicking a GPU.
Right. And talking about mimicking a GPU, and I'm sure you're very, very, very familiar with the E3s. Do you know if the E3s could actually handle a 64-bit OS on there for the mining operating? Because it's, I sat there and looked into the kernels and everything, and I'm like, this is a 32-bit kernel, which means that the memory modules aren't fully unlocked. If you get a 64-bit kernel on there, it should theoretically unlock the memory modules.
Sorry, what makes you think the memory modules aren't completely unlocked?
Because like I tore mine apart and actually like looked up the numbers that are on there, and for what it looked, I mean I could be looking at the wrong modules per se. Maybe I'm missing a bit of information out of it because I don't know how to reverse engineer them, but it looked like these things should be like half gig modules, and if they're half gig modules, then theoretically they should have 8 gigabytes of RAM on there.
No, not at all. That doesn't matter. You can get half gig modules that are, max 2 gigabyte, max 4 gigabyte, max 8 gigabyte. So the E3 specifically, the limitation in them is the memory controller, the 5, essentially.
Okay.
That's your limitation to how much memory you can have on board. And what they did in their firmware fix was basically there's some optimizations you can make to decrease the DAG to fit it all in there. And there's also some memory modifications you can make to relieve some pressure there. But it's still going to be, unless you go and physically update the memory controller, it's still going to be, locked to 4 gig. They came out with their 6 gig version, I think, recently as well, right? Or 5 gig. They were doing a 5 gig version. Maybe that was
that was in a silicon.
Yeah.
There's a China Bitmain one available, but it might have only been in China.
Yeah, I would have bought that because, like, as soon as I found the E3s, I adopted them day one, and I was like, more, loaded up my whole room.
So the thing to understand is there's lots of like exotic variants of ASICs floating around all over the world. But they're only in very small quantities, like, 10, 20, sometimes under 100. I hoard a few of them, so I have like we're lucky to have a bigger garage than we did on our last place, but I've got quite a few exotic varieties. They're not in any meaningful supply, so they're not too much of a concern.
Right.
Jay Bohannon, he says, can you check with Kristy to see what she thinks about ETH trying to kill off mining? You probably should rewind quite a bit if you're just now getting here, Jay Bohannon. I'd say the good past, 25, 30 minutes was
so
good.
I mean,
for the
someone else
conversation.
brought up, when F 2.0 launches. So again, to clarify, we're in phase 0 right now, or we will be in phase 0. So your proof of work chain is going to run in alongside the proof of stake chain, essentially. Proof of work isn't going away this year, or when Ethereum makes that switch. There has been discussions with the research team about skipping ahead and essentially quickly phasing out the proof of work chain, but there's been no decisions around that. There's been no formal announcements. There's right now it's still in that phase of research. So I don't think it's a concern. I don't think we have a track record of how Ethereum governance works across ProgPow and EIP 1559, where we understand, it's not going to immediately happen anyway when people come to a consensus, if they ever do. So I don't think mining is disappearing for, another year from Ethereum. To be honest, I don't think it's even going away in 2 years. I think it's still going to be around.
Yeah, you wouldn't have these other companies that are sitting there and keep developing ASICs. I mean, the research and development is not something that's easy. It takes time and money. And
EIP 1559 was never launched. I love that comment from Crypto Bedell. When will EIP 1559 launch? Good question. Go ask the champion. It's an open question if the core devs will ever accept it. I hope now there's enough research from the Raven miners to actually prove that the AMD cards are perfectly balanced. It's not unnecessarily biased towards NVIDIA. Raven has some real world results, which I'm really proud of. So.
Right.
So,
what up, Will Bearman?
Whale Bearman, good to see you, bud.
How's it going, buddy?
What up?
Love it. Yeah, they're trying to say July for the London hard fork. If they implement 1559, it'll be on the London hard fork, which will be in July.
Yeah.
So let's hope for a no.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm quick. Shotgun quick.
Gotta love it.
But yeah.
So, I would love to know. We usually try to keep around an hour. We don't want to keep you too far over your time, but I do want to ask you what are you working on? What do you got going on right now? If you don't mind, just asking. What you got? What you working?
Some interesting things. So as mentioned, once I left Core, I focused on ProgPow for a bit. Got burned out from all of that, and then took some time away from proof of work for a while. Spent a long time trying to think about, what needs to be solved in the real world. Spent a lot of time putting some research into essentially an internet V2 that would be distributed across every phone. For those of you who have watched Silicon Valley, not dissimilar to Silicon Valley's Pied Piper. Spent a lot of time figuring out, the math behind that, tech behind that. COVID hit. I got COVID. That sucked.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, I lost my taste. I was like, oh no.
That hit me pretty hard. I still have lasting effects from that, but yeah, that made me take it a bit easier. Made me reevaluate some stuff in life, and then I did pivoted, did some independent consultancy for a while for funds, research papers. Started building my own research team. Started working with cameras, pivoted entirely into working with cameras and in computational imaging. It was a lot of fun. And then in September of last year, I joined NEM Group, NEM Software, as their CTO, working on what comes next for NEM. And for those of you who aren't familiar, NEM's a top 20 cryptocurrency. They're one of the original proof of stake coins. So they were, a lot of the community and the core developers were heavily inspired by NXT, and it has deep roots in the crypto ecosystem. And there was a transition piece, and with the NEM Foundation. I'm sure people are familiar with that history reading online. And then out of that sprung the NEM Group. Met the CEO. Thought they were pretty awesome, decided to join them. Pretty excited about that. We're working on some really cool stuff, and for me it's exciting to be able to put all of my knowledge of protocols and consensus algorithms to work. It's actual blockchain work versus, hey, here's just optimizing some kernels. Yeah, it's been fun. I have a little research team and got a company that does consultancy for a lot of companies. Mostly we spend some time figuring out ASIC saturation of independent chains.
Oh god,
So
I
for
love
people
your
who are,
deep dives on the nonces.
yeah, node analysis it's badass. Like
Oh my
we've
god,
gotten
like you blew my mind during the what was it?
It's the last mining conference.
Not the no, I forget which. No, it was like 2 conferences ago that I saw you like actually do the peered review release on the nonces, and I was just I mean you have I sat there and was like, I need more. Oh my god.
That was the final thing we, for Prog Pow, a lot of people wanted an understanding of what was on the network, and that was like the final thing that I did. Did get hired by a company that I won't name to actually go and implement an exploited version of that hash that was accelerated across FPGAs. So did work on that for a while. So I've thrown that out there. You guys will be the first to know. But yeah, I spent some time working on that because essentially after Paris, when I got COVID, I got so much shit for Prog Pow. I was just like, you know what? If I'm going to keep getting harassed for explaining that there's an exploit in this, I might as well just go make some money from it. Well, why not?
Right.
No one's going to listen to me. I've done everything I can. And then just kind of took a break, and it was good. Like, I think I suffered from real burnout, and getting into computational imaging was really relaxing, to be honest. It let me put all my industry knowledge of other areas to the test. Let me just kind of step out. So, yeah, you can tell how much of the hash rate is research. The paper's out there, it's public. It hasn't been fully published, meaning it's a long process to get a paper published. It does have to go through peer review. Not a lot of people are interested in peer reviewing.
No, not especially, that particular topic. It's like, no.
But yeah, you can tell how much of any chain is ASICs now. We spent a lot of time building out that tooling, so now it's really easy for us to click a button and quickly get an up-to-date report. And I'd love to launch that as like a website sometime where people can go and make their own requests for, to just check network health, basically, or get distribution.
That would be cool.
Yeah. We're doing an updated analysis. I can tell you that now for Ethereum.
Nice.
My plan is we're doing it this weekend.
Are you seeing like the Lindsay miner actually coming out into the network yet?
Yeah, only a small amount. You can see everything. So we've gotten it to the point where we can detect the different models as well. And I am hesitant to kind of go into the details because I do know that you could circumvent it if you know enough about how we detect.
Right.
But we've gotten to the point where we can detect different mining software, which I have to say is the coolest thing. The difference between Phoenix Miner's distribution to even the E3s, you could tell exactly where the E3s are, the Phoenix Miner, Team Red Miner. Yep. So we have pretty good, and part of that is credit to Andrea Monfranche. Some of you know him from his work on Prog Pow. He was phenomenal in helping us figure out how to do that detection. But yeah, we can now detect pretty well, and it's doable across every chain, so it's great. Yeah, some really cool research. So.
Yeah, I wish that stuff was around whenever, like, I used to mine, me and Mikkel, when we first started mining, we were on Bitcoin Private, which was Equihash, and I started seeing, like, little ticks, and I started looking through the other networks, and I was seeing the same little spikes. It was like test spikes. And I was like, there's either FPGAs or ASICs. And everybody's like, no, you're crazy. They would never be able to make one for this algorithm. That's why we've been able to mine it this whole time. And then, like, about 3 weeks before everybody's like, run! I watched my profitability dip down. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to pull my stuff off. I'm dead certain there's ASICs on there. and then I saw like a little bump of the test of somebody's test farm coming on and shutting down. It was like for 2 days, and then woof, network hash rate doubles over in a side of 3 days.
It never stops.
It never stopped. And Zcoin and all of them just got destroyed.
Yeah, Max Walton. She's talking about Micah from the ETH team, and saying that he has openly stated, which I have seen, that he doesn't think it's possible to determine ASIC's hash rate. Like he doesn't think that you can effectively tell that. I have seen him say that before.
Maybe not their hash rate, but
determining how much
Micah
of the
again? Sorry?
Micah is from the dev team, so at least he's on the
dev team is huge. But we've gone into the math. Like, here's the thing that is one of my biggest frustrations about the space: is the mathematics is out there, the algorithm we use is out there, the quantitative analysis is all out there. You can determine the ASIC hash rate. Like, no one is. My frustration is that no one is able to debate us like you would in a proper academic forum. It's just statements of no, you can't do this, yes, you can do this. We took the effort to, put all the mathematics out there, show that all to the community, show our analysis. We've been quite public. Tim, the guy that was the genius behind the maths, is willing to talk about it publicly. No one's interested in having that discussion. They're just, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. But I know that some friends at some of the companies, AMD and Xilinx and NVIDIA, have reached out. They like down nonce analysis. I think they've taken some inspiration for some of their own detection tools. So I know that some people have paid attention. I think it's pretty cool. So
Xilinx. How do you feel about them being bought by AMD? How do you feel about that? About time.
I
was very happy when it happened.
Yeah, I think it's smart, and NVIDIA going in and acquiring
ARM
was also smart.
But they're getting backlash on that one.
People will give backlash out because they think NVIDIA is going to be out the corner of the market by. The exact statement is, if NVIDIA has a combination of CPU and GPU, they'll put a monopoly on the market. And I'm sitting there thinking, what do you think AMD does? They have CPU and GPU. Also,
right.
This is just NVIDIA catching up to all the other manufacturers.
Right.
AMD has like everything. They have an ASIC department. They have a blockchain department. They have now Xilinx, so they have FPGA development. They have an ARM department. That's kind of where the APUs fall into play, the SoCs that they've developed. Like, they have all of that anyway. So then when I see them, they're like, "Oh, it's monopoly." I'm like, sure, whatever you think.
Right.
Obviously,
I mean, does nobody look at Intel? It's like, come on, they're rolling back into the GPU market because they know they're missing out on a good market share. And do they need to produce a good graphics card? No. All they have to do is produce one, and they're going to make money.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I thought it was awesome that AMD bought Xilinx. I was very happy. I was like, good. Maybe it'll straighten Xilinx out. They need it.
Yeah.
They need the good public reminder of a company.
Yeah, so I think it's good all around. I'm quite excited for the future of hardware. There's a lot going on in the space. It just sucks, COVID really set the industry back.
Yeah, and everybody, and it's like, and a lot of people don't realize that it's like all the silicon manufacturers, they're not having problems producing. They need those microprocessors that are from the third-party markets.
Our supply chain, essentially, I hope people understand, our supply chain stalled for 2 months, and everyone was saying, "Oh, it won't impact us," because they weren't feeling the effects then.
Oh yeah.
The supply, the industry will. It's almost a lag in the effects. So yeah, you won't feel it immediately. You'll feel it, a year down the line.
But what's weird is like a lot of these people also didn't take into account that, yeah, we stalled out for 2 months solid, and then only a quarter of the workforce came back.
Yeah.
and then half the workforce came back, and that's where we sit now.
Yeah. By the way, something you can also do that's really cool is we were able to tie real world events to hash rate decreases. So like when the floods were in China were happening, we're able to detect that before it's actually announced on the news. So we were able to show that.
I could tell with my S9 when that happened. I was like,
yeah.
Whoa. I was like, damn, keep going, boy.
It's cool that, I think as Bitcoin evolves, it's going to become a indicator for natural events or for disruptions in the electrical grid, which is the coolest thing ever.
Yep.
Like it's super cool.
Texas is showing that right now. Everything that went down in Texas this past week. I mean, I live one state above there. It's cold. It was cold this last week. I mean, I've never felt negative 20-degree weather in my life, and I was like, it's cold. I mean, you walk outside and like you instantly just bad.
Right, because you don't have a jacket for it either.
You just like walk out and you're like, oh no, back inside. Like everything was freezing immediately. Like it was a bad situation. Their whole power grid went down because they're by themselves. They chose to do that, and it kind of bit them in the rear for this. But the kind of like what people don't understand is they were blaming it on the natural gases that they use to keep the plants like up and functioning, and they were saying that the natural gas was freezing. Well, if anybody knows this, gas doesn't freeze.
Right. But windmills will ice up and
those iced up. Yeah, that's for sure.
One of the interesting things I found is I know people were claiming that mining farms were affected, but if you actually look at the network hash rate for Bitcoin, there definitely was a decrease, but it was only of 10 exahash. It wasn't as ginormous as you would think. And if you look at that, that historically, that ebb and flow is kind of iconic. That normally happens. There was definitely a shutdown, but it wasn't like as
right. You were able to see the Three Gorges Dam having issues versus a lot of the other events.
Yeah. Specifically, it went from like 165, terahash down to 150 terahash. So that's the wrong metric, but it's like, you guys know what I mean. But we're able to see, a big change. So, so yeah, that was a little interesting for me to see. It was very small drop, noticeable, not as big as I would have expected for all the miners that claim to be in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only one real mining facility that I would say big, and that's the Bitmain facility that's out there. And according to, I forget what the guy who runs the show, I met him at one of the mining conferences. He's like we're not really operational, but we're 30% operational. I mean, I don't even think that he was like able to get the contractors to come in because of COVID. So he's just been running it at 30%.
Probably. Yeah, and I remember seeing it was in a chat. They have like 4,000 workers down in Texas. It was an ASIC farm, and they were like, woke up to this morning, and it was like offline. They had like 4,000 plus workers were offline. I was like, oh god, that make my heart hurt. She's like, wake up, 4,000 offline. Oh god. All right, I gotta go to work right now.
Right, bad stuff. But they would have had alert systems going off during the whole night if they're managing it properly.
Well, if the grid just shuts down completely, and
it should send off an alert. Be like, it's done.
Everything's off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, if you have any other last questions, this will be your last chance to get them in before we head out of here. So sneak them in while you can. That would be greatly appreciated. And we do thank you for coming on and hanging out with us tonight. It's always fun to have you on and chit chat about all the random stuff that's kind of going on right now.
Yeah. Once I started seeing the other the Ethereum ASICs coming out, like the Lindsay, like you'd see that it's a legit site, but where they're supposedly claiming you can buy them is like that's scam.
Oh yes.
Scam.
There's no Lindsay miners you can buy. Just I really shouldn't be doing this because Lindsay has been horrible to me. But just so people are aware, they did good. They launched their first 20 units, but those are test units. One was distributed to people. A few have been distributed to key figures in the industry that can essentially give them promotional material and promo stuff. But there's not a large number of them publicly released. It is debatable, how many they actually have running themselves.
Right.
They've publicly stated that they are not producing right now. They don't know when sales will begin, and that Wolfgang has actually said as well that they need a large investor to come in and back them, which goes against everything Lindsay said they would do when ProPal happened, that they'd sell to the individual miner, that they would never sell to the investor. So,
well, I think a lot of people have that, rainbows and butterflies, it's like myself. I'm a mechanic, so every mechanic out there, y'all know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm about to say. I'm gonna open up a shop. I'm gonna make sure that I take care of the customers really well. I'm gonna keep the prices reasonable. I'm gonna pay my mechanics the best dollars, and I'm gonna make sure that they have all the insurance, top-notch insurance. And then they get slapped with the reality, and you're like, I understand why my manager was so mad at me now. Because I'm going to have to do the same thing. and you realize that they turn into the same, can't pay you a whole lot. I'm sorry, minimum wage. I'm sorry.
It's what I tried to talk about in like the problem of proof of work article I wrote long ago. Wow, that was a very long time ago. But it was essentially that you can't get away from the natural centralization that happens with hardware manufacturers. It is a result of, if you have an economic incentive to keep making ASICs, you're going to keep making ASICs, and you're going to sell them to one individual because it's easier to do. You see that all over the industry. The only reason it doesn't really happen with GPUs as much is because the largest buyers of GPUs are Amazon, where you get your GPUs. It's Best Buy. It's
Micro Center.
It's your distributors. They are the largest consumers, and they make a business out of distributing it to you guys. Same with CPUs and memory.
It's just really kind of frustrating when you find a broker, and you can tell that they're getting the equipment through the normal channels, and then they put their markup onto it, and you see it, and you're like, really?
It's very frustrating.
And they don't want to negotiate at all. It's like, you don't have gold, dude. I'm sorry.
If you want it, you will.
Definitely frustrating.
It's terrible. Keep the crypto, dude. Stay warm, please. He said he's having a peace in Texas. No power for 3 days, and 6 days, no water.
Oh, yeah.
Be safe, man.
Son of a Tech just got his power back on at his place.
Yeah, it's ridiculous down there, man. Please be warm. Stay safe. Keep the family safe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
that's
for
just
sure.
Crazy stuff. Helpful crypto miner. Yes, buddy. He says, tell Kristy I'm pursuing the making of developing bit streams. Yes, you are, my man. He's doing great work. He's playing with good CAC at the moment.
Good on you, dude. Keep it up.
Yeah.
If he needs any help, he can reach out to me. Happy to chat. Trying to be more active on Telegram now. I took a break for a year and trying to be more active on there. Trying to be more active in the community. Yeah, sometimes you just need to take a break when you've gone through some shit.
So it's the best thing you can do, you know. If you're in a bad state yourself, like you're not gonna, you will come across that way, just by like natural, you know what I mean? And it's just not like you're trying to be, you know. And it's just like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna walk away for a minute. I'll be back later.
Yeah, it's not beneficial at all to be on social media when it is toxic. Crypto, I don't think we've talked enough about how toxic cryptocurrency is. It's a
so tribalism, all the tribalism, and it's like I kind of equate it to the same. Those are the same people that are going to play, no touch flag football. Everybody wins, and it's like you can't have that. That's not a free market. Free market means that the best utility, the best features are what's going to win, not coin A, coin B, because maybe coin A and coin B, they had two good features. Another developer goes, yes, I'm taking those two things and we're doing it like this now. And that's how it should be.
I really think that we need to talk more about how toxic cryptocurrency is and stop that behavior, because even with Ethereum we see it. I really hope that the new wave of institutional investment in Bitcoin is going to change the culture there, and I think it will.
You got Elon Musk just going, Doge, and everybody freaks. It's like, come on. It's not going to change if you got the billionaires sitting there going, hey guys, check this out. I'm going to tweet this one word. Or you got, what's her name from the Harry Potter books? J.R. Rowling or whatever.
Oh, yep.
And she's like, and she's like, why do I want Bitcoin? You had everybody and their mother that makes videos doing some kind of Harry Potter spin-off video trying to explain to her why she needs Bitcoin. And it's like, she don't need Bitcoin at all. She's rich. You're sadly mistaken. They don't need that.
Oh yeah. I'm glad that is your answer there, Kristy. Because I agree with Bears. You do seem a ton less stressed, ton more happier. Than the last couple of years of you just getting the shit for absolutely no reason, just for doing you. Just
it sucked, and everything. I remember.
You've
been just getting the raw end of the deal since Minority, really.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that the truth about what really happened is actually coming out now.
Right.
2 years have happened. I held my tongue because I'm very respectful.
I just hope some of those people apologize at some point in time.
Actually, this year I had. I will say that I had quite a few individuals that were probably the most toxic and harassed me reach out and apologize for what they did.
That's amazing. That's good steps.
Yeah, and to those people, you know who you are, and I'm incredibly proud of you, because it's hard as an individual to admit you've done something wrong, and it is hard for us as adults sometimes to own that embarrassment and own up to our mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Those folks. I mean, I always said before I left the Discord, I said the truth will come out eventually. It always does. Karma always happens.
Oh yeah. If you know that you did nothing wrong and you did what you were supposed to do, it doesn't matter what anybody wants to say. The truth will come out eventually. It just takes time. You just hope that people don't go to extremes during that time frame, which unfortunately they did with you.
Yeah, but all is good. It's good being able to put mining as a hobby now rather than a full-time job. It lets me have a bit of a clearer focus on things, and I do think it's quite promising with the 360 driver debacle. The puzzle solver, the problem solver in me is itching to go figure that out. So who knows?
I got GPUs you can test on.
I might take you up on that offer.
Okay.
I'm very eager to.
I have a 30. I have a 3090. I have 33080s of different flavors. I've got two 3060 Ti's of different flavors. So yeah.
Ooh. I have to ask you guys. Multiple people reached out to me in the last 3 months asking to buy it at large with source code. Multiple people.
I'm glad to say that I've got an original copy of it still.
Do people, I thought people had already figured out enlargement and it was embedded in every single miner, but yeah, it's
not. It's not, and I've proved it. You would think that they would bake it in there. The only one that bakes it in is NiceHash.
Yeah,
NiceHash bakes it in. Was it MB Miner includes it? They include it in their release, but you have to run it. That's it.
Yeah, I have to say I'm quite proud of that. No one, after 2 years, no one's figured it out, really. They speculate. Like, I had some guy on Twitter try to mansplain NVIDIA memory timing.
I just know that it was that they used the same memory that AMD did, and it was the enlargement was just making it run more like an AMD memory, right?
No, not quite. What it does is it modifies the memory timing. So irregardless, when you're tuning for Ethereum, you're modifying the memory timings to be able to read and write faster. 5x memory was lagging by 50% on GTX 1080 Ti. And so what enlargement did was it fixes the memory timings to remove that limit. And the method of how we did that is what everyone is after, because NVIDIA, it's writing to the VBIOS in real time, essentially.
Okay.
And doing that by passing through the driver and writing to the VBIOS. And I'm proud, I guess, that no one's figured it out after all this time, because the little team we had back then obfuscated it quite well. So pretty proud of the team for that.
I have no idea about how to code, so even if I were to look at the source code, I'd be like, yeah, that's gibberish.
It does things.
Yeah.
But
it says true and false a lot.
It's definitely it's definitely possible to go and modify NVIDIA cards. I'm really surprised no one's released a BIOS editor for NVIDIA. Most people weren't even aware NVIDIA released an official VBIOS signer for a period of time.
Yep.
Yeah,
that is what, 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. You have NV BIOS editor for NVIDIA, and they just updated for the 3000 series. So I've got an MSI gaming trio that is power limiting itself. Even putting it on the Windows and gaming on it, I watch it slam back over while I'm trying to boost it on a game. So it's completely ignoring what I have. So something in their in the firmware on the card, there's an issue. So I'm thinking of trying to put the Supreme X on there and seeing how it will run like that.
Wait, no way. So Ray's Atom released updated NV BIOS editor for NVIDIA card?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, it's out.
Amazing.
It's out already. Yep.
That is really good to hear. And it supports the 3000 series?
Yep. And whenever you go into hardware info, it'll show it'll show all the stuff on there, and it'll show it as the Supreme or your one of the higher tier cards. So it'll like if the card only has 2 8-pins and what you flashed to had the 3 8-pins on there, you'll see a phantom 8-pin on there, and the first pin and the last pin are going to register as the same pin out. So it's like in essence tricking the card to push the extra 50 watts through.
Very, very cool. Very cool. That is really good to hear. Yeah, I'm seeing it now. It still looks like why does every single BIOS editor look terrible?
Yeah, right. Oh my god.
They're always so clunky.
Yeah, and this one's not any better.
I'm looking at it now. They all look terrible. Why? Why are they all so bad? God.
So Chancoin's question is, can the pill fix the RTX 2000 series cards by any chance?
What's the problem you're having with the RTX 2000 series? What's the hash rate? They should be hashing. I actually have these running in my house, so they're hashing right now at, actually I can tell you right now what mine are hashing at. I'm just pulling it up here. Mine are hashing at 57 to 64 mega hash. What is everyone else's hashing at?
And that's like what
I never bought 2000 series.
Yeah, I stayed away from that series. I was like, when I was like looking at it, I'm like, this is all first gen stuff. I'm like, price wise, you're paying more for their research and development. I'm like, I'll wait one generation.
Yeah, they should be pulling. Maybe he'll answer, but they should be pulling quite a decent amount. Yeah, that's.
Nefarious is like going. He thinks it's on the 3080, like the MSI Gaming Trio, is something about it doesn't want to lock into. It's like that doesn't want to go into P0 state.
Oh, okay. You can probably force that. Yeah, I haven't.
And I've got, me and him have the same card, and the best that I've been able to get this thing to hit at, and it's running at like 204 watts, even though I'm trying to command 230, because it runs a little more stable. It's getting like between 91 and 93 mega hash, and it should be able to hit 97 to 99.
Got it.
So it looks like it's thermal throttling because it pulls the power down so hard. You're like,
that'll be, yeah. So if it's not locking into P0, that's actually a BIOS issue. So how NVIDIA vBIOSes work is that you assign memory timings for each P state, and you assign when they kick in. So probably when they've, and you assign when it happens as well. So like you can customize when you're going to hit a specific P state. So
right.
If someone hasn't fixed, someone hasn't adapted that, yeah.
It's really kind of funny too, because I've got a MSI Gaming Trio 3060 Ti, no issues.
They still didn't fix the Navi issues, by the way. AMD knew about that like well before I joined Core Scientific. They still haven't fixed issues with Navi after all this time?
No. Navi breaks just turning the rig off.
You know what would be so helpful for me is if there was like a giant list, a bounty board of all the issues with graphics cards for people like me to go fix when we need a break. Because now for me, doing mining work is actually therapy. Like it's.
You heard it, guys.
Yeah.
Let's work on it.
It would be great to just get a big bounty board of all of the issues people actually have. Because I've tried to minimize how involved I am in reading Discord and Telegram so I can focus on work. So just having like a central repository for all of this would be really helpful.
All right, I guess. I can definitely, we work on something like that.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great. You would get a lot of people like me that we're not reading Discord all the time. You know, we have day jobs, being able to just check it all the time. And then if we see, you know, a problem we can immediately fix, we do it. Yeah, it would be, you'd get a lot more engagement that way, I think.
All right.
All right, guys.
Dan the Dane. He's just getting here and goes, what the fuck? It's Ogata Girl. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning where he is. He's probably just now getting up and like, what's going on?
I just got alerted to this. Oh my god, it's her.
I know, it is getting late. And Dan the Dane, gonna have to rewatch that, buddy. It's been it's definitely been a great talk, and we got to get you on again. Have some more.
Helpful is like a decentralized repository.
A DAO for just mining fixes.
Right.
That's awesome.
The contract for that's got to be easy to make.
A hit list of things would be good to fix. Driver stuff, you need to be careful. You can't. So one of the things that like I kind of refuse to do is be evil, and like it's the reason I haven't publicly posted the NVIDIA BIOS layouts, because that's confidential information. You really shouldn't go dicking around in the driver unless you know what to do. You can fuck up a lot of things there.
Right, you can.
Drivers
you can like unlock the safety catches on your GPU and watch it have a meltdown.
Yeah, just please let's not download random drivers from the internet that say, my actual big fear, I wrote to one of my friends about this, is with the new 360 driver modification that they've made, average Joes are just going to go straight to the internet and download, like, make this hash faster drivers.
Oh my god, yeah.
Drivers.
Unlocked crypto drivers. Oh, I found it. We got it, guys. Oh, my card's fucked up.
And not just, it won't even affect your card. It's just going to go, like, it's just going to go steal, I doubt it's going to steal private keys, but it's just going to fuck your computer up. It's going to be malware. And it was like when the original VBIOS stuff was happening back in 2015, when it was still very much underground and VBIOSes were being distributed. And you know, people would share them and throw them around, and fucking jellyfish malware was sitting in the VBIOS.
Oh yeah, I was like really leery, like until 2Miners came out with their official patch for the E3s. There's people, I've got it unlocked. You can mine to any pool you want, any one of them, and I'm like, you sound shady.
That's right,
afraid.
Good guy. Jason took one for the team. He installed it day one.
So did Vosscoin. I loved how many people said that we were stealing hash rate. Like,
it was a big one. That was a big one.
My engineer mind is like, man. Actually, someone reached out to me from AMD and said, you really should have put a dev fee in that. So I was like, but why? Like, it's okay to just release things and not profit from them.
Right.
It's okay not to make money off of everybody.
Right. It's like for myself. Like I went out of my way for XM rig. They put in here a provision so you can stop the dev fee on their own program, and it wasn't so much there so that the big guy would do this, because they know that the big guy is going to want to, at least put a portion of the farm to that dev fee so that the devs can keep on doing research and development. But it's more there for the little guy that's got one rig, maybe an older Intel, so it doesn't have a lot of hash rate. 1% when you have a spit of hash rate is big.
Yeah, it really is. It is, and I have a lot of respect for mining devs that make it optional. And 9 times out of 10, people are happy to pay the 1% to give that back to the miner.
Right. But I I basically have it where I've already configured it. All they've got to do is take the executable file, put it onto their PC, and there's no dev fee on there. All you got to do is just change the config file on it, and it's got your address in there. You know,
I love when I'm someone's spirit animal. That just made my day.
I love that guy.
So what's your aspiration in life, Kristy? I want to be someone's spirit animal.
Already are. Life well achieved.
Oh, holy shit. Someone used my words as facts in their PhD? Well, that's kind of fucking dope. Drop your PhD, dude. Drop your thesis.
Who's it? Good guy?
Dan the Dane.
Dan the Dane, yeah.
Dan the Dane.
Oh, if it's in Danish. Is it in Danish?
I think probably Google Translate.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I do have to start cooking dinner now.
Oh, yes.
I'm on dinner duty for the family, so.
Oh, nice. All right.
Go get some food. Enjoy yourself.
All right,
appreciate
guys.
you coming on.
Thank you so much for being here, as always.
A great one. Glad to be here. So.
Thanks for coming on.
Have a good one, guys.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Catch y'all later.
Well, that was an amazing conversation.
It was a great talk.
Oh my God.
Hope you all have a fantastic night. FA in the chat for Kristy, guys. You're all awesome. Thank you all for coming here and giving the respect that is so well deserved.
Right.
It's always a hot topic whenever you have someone that's a controversial topic.
I'd rather have the more controversial people on here because it's like you get a different perspective. I
love what she does.
Oh yeah,
I don't hate on her at all.
I never did.
Some people really do.
I mean, I'll admit it. At the very beginning, whenever Minority was falling apart, I just kind of was like, I don't know about her. I'm gonna put her over here because I keep an eye on what she's doing. She seems smart.
5-star flames.
And I was like, I'll just let everything kind of boil over. And then I started, seeing some stuff behind the scenes that was like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, okay, maybe she's just getting the bad rap on all of this.
Yeah,
and then
good guy said it was Squirrel.
Yeah,
it was.
And then the whole truth came out, and it was like, I'm glad I didn't sit there and say I didn't like her. It was just, okay, there's so much drama, I don't know what the hell's going on. I had to process. I'm like, this is a whole new world. I'm like, he said, she said, they're fighting. I need an adult with this.
Oh, good guy. Yeah, I won't say it out loud, but yeah, man. Interesting character. So, alright guys, we'll be heading out of here. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the bell notification, just so you know in case we go live anytime here on DCA Adventure.
Or if we have some other awesome guests on here.
Yeah, exactly. And then tomorrow there might be a live stream in the morning at 10:30 in the morning for the community pre-EIP 1559 meeting that I got invited to. And I'm going to live stream it if I can. So stay tuned for that, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you know when that happens. And without further ado, guys, catch you next time.
Right. Peace.